Hi, I'm Dave Collins with Wagner University. I'm the dean there. We're going to do a information meeting for anybody that is interested in learning more about Wagner University. We're going to wait a couple minutes to give a chance for people to join us, so just hang on for a couple minutes and then we will get going. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna get started. Again, my name's Dave Collins. I'm the Dean for Wagner University. Welcome for those who are on there. I see Dan and Dava and some others that are watching right now. This is an information meeting for those that would be interested in Wagner University. So let me kind of just go through a PowerPoint here and talk a little bit about Wagner University. Our legacy, of course, is the late Dr. C. Peter Wagner. Started it in 1998. At the time, he was working at Fuller Seminary, and at a gathering at his house in Colorado Springs, Cindy Jacobs had a word for him, and the word was that he was to start a school of ministry, a new university, a new seminary that would be a new paradigm. And at the time, Peter said he didn't want to hear the word and he didn't want to start a school, but the Lord began to work with him, and just shortly right after that, he resigned from Fuller Seminary after being there for 30 years, and God downloaded him a plan. At that time, it was called Wagner Leadership Institute, and many leaders were trained at the beginning. They came into Colorado Springs, flew in from all around the world, and later it was broadened out, and we at the height of it, there was something like 24 schools around the United States, and also around the world in a number of different nations. Then in 2010, Peter turned 80 years old and still was heading up about 12 different ministries, and the Lord spoke to him about handing them off to spiritual sons and daughters, and he handed off Wagner Leadership Institute at that time, now it's Wagner University, to Che On, one of his spiritual sons that he had met and mentored and tutored in the doctoral program at Fuller Seminary. And Peter handed over to Dr. Che On, and Dr. Che On picked it up and has been running it since. In 2017, there was a change, and we brought on a new vice chancellor named Benny On, and sorry about that, Benny, Benny Yang, sorry about that, and we changed the focus to an online school where we had been primarily a brick and mortar in an intensive type of school. Is that we made the transition where the focus was on equipping leaders in a revelatory style of teaching and learning, which incorporates impartation and activation. And the hands-on part of it is a uniqueness to Wagner University. In Wagner University, really our mission is to ignite and train generations of revivalists and reformers. Traditional seminary focuses on primarily theology and teachers, where Wagner University, we're focused on leaders and developing leaders ministry, whether they're in the church realm or if they're in a marketplace realm. Our focus is to raise up leaders. We are not accredited through the traditional accreditation that universities are, but we do have a membership with Academic Council for Educational Accountability, ACEA, which is a Christian-based organization that has many diverse universities, colleges, and ministry schools and training centers that have been formed as Christian that are to seek to impact the world for Christ. And so ACA uses a relationship-based peer input to build credibility and accountability outside of the traditional accrediting organizations. And so you can go to their website, acea/schools.org, and you can learn more about it. But in addition to that, we are approved by the state of Colorado to offer degrees. The state of Colorado higher education has an exception for religious schools, Christian schools, and we are registered under them and are able to give degrees. You may be asking, if you're watching this, you're going to say, well, why Wagner University? There's a lot of choices out there of Christian seminaries and colleges, Bible schools, schools of ministry, and some really fine schools, and they're good at what they're doing, and I have nothing against them. But Wagner Leadership Institute we have a unique DNA, and we are dynamic and we are unique to other schools and what they do. A traditional seminary primarily its focus is theology, and they're raising up theologians and teachers, and that's great. They do a great job of that. But our focus is we raise up leaders. We raise up apostolic leaders, to be exact. We're training apostolic leaders in practical fivefold ministry, Ephesians 4:11 ministry, apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastor, teachers. And then in the seven mountain transformation, seven spheres, is that it's not just in the church realm, but it's in all aspects of societal mind molders or mind influencers, of societal influencers. We offer a hybrid online cohort study options that allow you to work as you study. So you don't have to quit your job, you don't have to move. That right where you're at, you can take our courses online. You do it in a cohort, so you're in a group of anywhere from 12 to 20 other students. You start together, you finish together, and each course is 8 weeks long. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But you learn to grow together, and our desire is that you become friends and ministry partners for the rest of your life. That you build relationship as you do the material together, and then you build that. And we've seen great success in our cohorts right now in that. A third thing is that we have a proven track record of equipping church, parachurch, and marketplace leaders. We have some great leaders that are graduates of Wagner. Cindy Jacobs is one, James Gall, many more out there that are impacting. And so we actually are celebrating this month our 20th anniversary. And so we have leaders all around the world that have come through the Wagner training. And another thing is that, again, is a unique emphasis on activation and impartation. The Apostle Paul talked to Timothy. He says, do not neglect the gift that you received by the impartation of my laying on hands. And so there's an emphasis in all of our classes is for an impartation, and the things that you're learning is a practical activation of those things. So as you're going through the courses, your assignments will include what you're doing in ministry or in the marketplace. And so you will take the material and you will apply it to what you're learning. And then when we have, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but we have residentials that I said we're a hybrid, so there's twice a year. We have what we call residentials, and we have live teaching. We have teachers come. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But there's a laying on hands. There is a prayer. There is an activation and impartation that comes from world-class leaders that are our instructors. The other thing that we have is that you can earn your degree in just 2 years, 24 months. You could complete the entire program. Our core faculty are successful international world-class leaders that are impacting the world, and those leaders are apostles and prophets, evangelists, pastor, teachers that are impacting, especially in the renewal realm. And you can see up on the slide, you can see many of those that are up there, and often they're at our residentials. We just had Cindy Jacobs this last week at our residentials, and we had James Gall speaking, Bill Johnson, and a number of others that were there speaking. We you will receive the best training, the best of their ministry as you go through our programs. Let me talk a little bit about the Wagner training model. The model has 4 pillars. The first pillar is core courses. You will take core courses. Each one of the core courses is online, and we use a platform called Moodle, which is a common online university program. And in those courses, they're 8 weeks long, and all of your syllabus, your video, your teaching, discussion groups, your written assignments, all of your work is there for you, and it's laid out in a very strategic and comprehensive way. The second pillar is elective courses. So there's a number of core courses you'll take. After you're done with the core courses, there are elective courses. So if you wanted to specialize in a specific area, maybe you're interested in strategic warfare, prayer warfare, intercession. We have a number. We have many teachings in all these different areas. Or maybe it's the prophetic. Maybe you want a teaching or to emphasize the prophetic, emphasize dream interpretation, the different types of prophets. So we have electives in each of those, and we also not just our own material. But we accept elective course material from outside ministers. And so many out there are developing single courses, and we will approve many of those for your elective course. The third pillar is residential training. So in the 24 months that you're taking the program, that you're working on your degree, is that you will do 3 residentials, and we hold residentials. Currently, we hold them in January in combination with the prophetic Destiny Conference that's at H-Rock in Pasadena, California at the Ambassador Auditorium. And so as a student, we pay for your admission to come to the conference, and you'll attend the conference in the morning, and then in the afternoon you'll have it'll be all breakout sessions, and you will have world-class leaders come and minister just to the Wagner University students. It's really powerful. I can tell you from our students that that's just a highlight for them. And then in the evening, you go back to the conference and take it. And then while you're there, you have an opportunity to have a dinner, have lunch, to meet with your cohort and face-to-face. You've been interacting online, but it's an opportunity to meet them and to build relationship there. And then the second one, the first one is in January, second one is in August, and that's in conjunction with our global summit, the HIM Global Summit, where leaders from all around the world, leaders that are impacting the world, that are transforming the world, come together. So you have that combination of the intimacy of the residential, the breakout sessions in the afternoon, and then the teaching of the rest of the conference is there. So it's just kind of like a 1-2 punch. It's a very impacting. And then the fourth pillar is a final project. And so you'll complete a related ministry project, something that's going to be connected to your ministry. We want something practical, something that you're going to do. We don't want something just in theory, but you'll take something that you're doing in your ministry or your marketplace, and you will build a thesis paper on it. There's another option on the bachelor's level and the master's level that you can do an international missions trip. And so you can pick out an international missions trip, and one that we have some that are approved through HIM, and some others that are our faculty members. And then you can go on an international missions trip and come back, and you write about that experience and turn in a thesis paper based off of that. And so those are the 2 options. Now at the doctoral level, there is like a dissertation, so it's a whole different emphasis on the doctoral level. But for the bachelor's and master's, you have that 2 options of doing a ministry project or doing a missions trip and writing about that. There's 3 programs. We offer a bachelor's degree. We call it a Bachelor's of Applied Ministry. We also offer a master's degree, and it's called Masters of Apostolic Leadership in Applied Ministry. And then our doctoral degree is a Doctor of Apostolic Leadership in Applied Theology. And you can see a common theme is applied ministry. It's not theory. You know, a traditional seminary focuses on your mind. Ours focuses on your mind and your heart, that it's applied. It's not just head knowledge, it's actually applied to your ministry. And so our programs are designed, again, to build your leadership. At our bachelor's level, we really are helping people find out their identity, find out their leadership skills, and to develop them as a leader. Then at the master's level, it's no longer about you, it's about your leading others and how you lead others, how you lead a marketplace, in the marketplace or in a church or in a ministry. And then at the doctoral level, it's not about just leaders around you. It's about developing leaders of leaders, networks of ministries. And so you can see how each one builds upon one another. So there's a roadmap for leadership that meets students where you're at. And that means that you can continue to do your ministry where you're at and work on it as you go. So we use the innovative e-learning courses, and of course there's hands-on residential training, and then it's impartation. And again, in 24 months, in 2 years, you can complete it. This next one it shows you the courses that we have, and we also have them in Spanish, Portuguese, and Chinese. And we have Japanese coming up, but you can see here the Bachelor's Applied Ministry, the topics, the courses are there. There's 8 core courses. Kingdom Identity, talk about deliverance and inner healing, how to hear the voice of God, hosting the Holy Spirit, prayer and intercession, dealing with religious and poverty spirits, the 7 Mountain Mandate, and an understanding of church revival history. Now at the master's level, we see the huge focus of the whole master's is, again, as apostolic leadership. So all these are developed around apostolic leaders. It starts with apostles today. We study the fivefold ministry, and then we take an in-depth look at prophets, not past and current prophets. We talk about power evangelism and healing, and then deliverance and spiritual warfare. And then we look at finances, prosperity with a purpose, and we deal with a religious spirit, a poverty spirit there, and then a whole different level on the 7 mountains. And then our Doctor of Apostolic Leadership and Applied Theology really takes a look at Christianity, not just through Western eyes, but through the entire church, through the global church, the global South Church. And you'll look at where the church has been all the way back 2,000 years, the trends and where Christianity is going. Look at apostolic leadership as, again, through networks, expanding out. And you can see the other titles there. I'm not going to go through each one of them. And the doctoral program, I'll say this, it's a really high-level program. It's not for an amateur. You need to be in ministry for a number of years. You need to be a senior leader or a senior marketplace leader, where that you have worked with multiple other churches and ministries and networked in it. I think that's good for that. Again, we do have a Spanish program that we released about a month ago, and we're about ready to release our Portuguese program. Will be released the end of August or beginning of September. That's for in Brazil only. And then we have a Chinese program that's been running for about 3 years now, and that's for only students that are residing in China. And then we are just starting on a Japanese program that'll be released probably sometime in the spring of 2019. Then we'll be developing other languages and other emphasis for different countries in the future. The next question that probably is on your mind comes up is, how much does all this cost? That's a good question. I'm glad that you asked that question. Our tuition at bachelor's level right now is $11,800, and that can be done paid a number of ways. It can be paid up all in front. It can be paid in 2 payments, or it can be paid in monthly installments, so kind of a pay-as-you-go. With the monthly installments, we do charge a 3% interest on that because that's what it costs us. We just pass that through. A master's level is $14,800, and the doctoral is $18,800. For attending this, watching this presentation, we will give you a $1,000 scholarship, and so when you apply for Wagner University, it has a referral there. If you use this number, FBL 080818, put that on there, then we will reference it for your scholarship. And to register, it's very simple. You go to Wagner University /apply, and that takes you to our application, the online application. With that, I'm going to kind of stop and I'm going to field any questions that you have. I have some of my staff here that are helping me. I got Liliana that's watching online, and so if you have any questions, she'll feed those questions to me now, and we'll respond.
There's no question.
So there's no questions, I hear, not yet anyways. I can just personally attest, being a graduate myself of Wagner University. I was under the prior to the change, and I can tell you that probably the greatest thing that I came away from was the impartation that I received from the various instructors that we have. I sat down and was talking to a friend, and that kind of came to me, and so afterwards I sat down and I listed out each of the instructors that I had sat under and who had ministered to me, received their teaching, received prayer, laying on hands. And I can tell you, Randy Clark is that my words of knowledge just went through the roof. There was like, if you would put a graft and you would graft it, there was kind of like a steady, low words of knowledge, and after his class it just like spiked, and it hasn't ever come back down. I can tell you James Gall is that I've always been a dreamer, but after taking his course and understanding it, is my whole dream language came to light, or I understood the dreams. I understood the language of dreams, and just on down each one. Bill Johnson is just a love for the Word and a love for the church. And so each of the professors, each of the ones that you study, is that there is a transference, there is an impartation. Of course, with impartation is they can impart something to you, just like Paul's letter to Timothy and also to Titus. But we have to store it. Once you receive that, you have to store it.
One question, when do cohorts start?
Okay, so I've got a question here. When do cohorts start? That's a good question. We start cohorts when we have a full cohort, not usually at least 12 people and up to 20. Sometimes we might go a little bit over 20, but we have cohorts forming all the time. And so as students apply, we let them know that they're in queue, and when we get enough students, we'll start it. So all around the year, so we're not a traditional starting only in the fall and in the beginning of the year in January. So as we get a cohort, And again, you will start with that cohort and you will finish with that cohort. Other questions?
Let's wait for a little bit in case no questions yet.
One of the questions that we often get is that we have probably a good part of our students are in ministry. They're pastors, they may be senior pastor, maybe an associate pastor. We really, our students make up of people that are in ministry working for churches. Then there's a number of people that have ministries. Maybe they have a house of prayer. We have a number of students that are running houses of prayer, or maybe it's a healing room, or we also have a number of students that have intercessory ministries, where they have intercessory teams that are praying over regions and over specific targets of that. But one of the questions that we have is, like, when they travel, what's the flexibility? Many of our leaders will travel, and so it's built. The program is built where you can work ahead. There's an app, so you can access your courses online anywhere in the world. You can put it on your phone or your iPad, and of course your laptop. And so you can, wherever you're at, as long as you have Wi-Fi, have internet connection, you can do your courses wherever you're at. I'm waiting here to see if we have any more questions.
No questions yet.
So Liliana, what's a common question that we get?
Common question is the workload.
Well,
The workload for students.
That's a great question. Is what is the workload like that for weekly? And so at a bachelor's level, we design it for the workload to be between 4 to 6 hours. So that's your reading, that's watching the video, the teaching, and then your discussion group. And so your discussion group, and then through the 8 weeks, on the 4th week, you have a paper at a bachelor level. It's a 1,000-page paper that's written, and so the average is between 4 and 6 hours at the bachelor level. At the master's level, it's about 4 to 6 to 7 hours. It's a little step up, of course, and then you have a midterm on the week 4, and that's 1,500 words. 1,500 words, a MLI or a Chicago or a APA format, where it's double spaced with margins and everything, is about 4 to 5 pages. We give you the topic to write about, and again, we're asking you to apply it to your personal life, to your ministry, to where you're at. So it's something that you're going to use. It's applicable. Then at the doctoral level, that's a huge step up. It's an average 8 to 12 hours a week. So the doctor level is there's a lot of more research that goes into it, a lot more reading, and again, at that level, it's a little bit bigger commitment.
Okay. Someone asked if there is financial aid.
So financial aid. So we are not registered with the federal government, so we don't have federal finance aid. We will look at scholarships. We do give a scholarship if you're a HIM member, if you're a HIM pastor or HIM marketplace, you belong there. There is a scholarship that we give for that. We do give a scholarship if you've attended one of our information meetings, like this particular meeting. If there's a specific need, you can put a request in it and why that you would need the scholarship, and we would consider that, not guaranteeing that, but we would be open to looking at that on an individual basis.
Okay, we have more questions for you. Please.
Oh, good. What does the tuition include? The tuition includes all of the online study material that you're going to get, so your syllabuses, your teaching, all of that. It does not include your books. You'll need to buy your own books. And an average per class is 2 to 3 books, and probably I would say an average price is somewhere between $10 and $15 per book. So each course you probably are going to look at $45. Of course, if you buy an audio book, or many times people tell me they already have that book in their library, but they've never read it. So this requires them to read it. So sometimes you may have it already in there. For the residentials, we pay for the residential training, so the conference part of it, and the residential training. You don't have to pay for that, but you are required for your own transportation and lodging. So you have to get there on your own, and you have to pay for your lodging that's there. And so basically, it's paying for the training, the teaching, and the syllabus material for that. Are there veterans benefits accepted? Right now, we're not positioned to accept veteran benefits. I'm sorry about that. We're just not positioned to do that at this point. Again, that might be something that if you needed a scholarship or something like that, you might send a letter in, and that might be a consideration on an individual basis. Next one is, do you accept international students? So we're not a residential program, and we don't have the ability to get you a visa to come here. Again, being an online school, is that we're targeted for people to study where they're at. In the languages that we have, majority of our students in English right now, or live in the United States. They may live in another country. We have a few that are in some other countries, but they already have visas and access to come and go into the United States, and so they're able to do it in English, and they're able to come in and out. We have a couple of we have like 4 students that live in Japan, for example, that are English speakers, and they already have visas and ability to come in and out of the country. But as far as an international student coming here and studying, we don't. We do get requests sometimes from people wanting to know if they can study from where they're at in another country, and it really has based on this is the English comprehension and ability. They already have a ability for a visa to come in and out of the country, and so most of the international ones at this point that we haven't developed are not feasible at this point. That's some of those places in the future, like right now, we're releasing the Brazilian Portuguese, and that will all be in Brazil. It won't be a U.S. based. It will be in Brazil, and that's our Chinese based, and our Japanese will be based in Japan. And so beyond that, we will be developing it for other nations. We've had a number of requests for Great Britain, and we're working on how we could offer it in Great Britain and form cohorts in Great Britain. But other than that, I think you're just going to have to wait until we're ready to develop the program for the other countries. I hope that answers the question on that.
Okay. One more. Here's one more.
So the question is, so students can complete a bachelor, a master, or a doctorate program in only 2 years, and the answer to that is yes. They can complete it in 2 years. I would put the bachelor's and master's, no problem, on the doctorate. It may take a little bit more than 2 years. You complete all of your coursework, your electives, but on your project or your dissertation that you do, that because of the study and the research is there, that may take you a little bit longer to complete, but you'll be completed with the program in 2 years on a doctoral level, but then you'll have your paper to work on. But yeah, with a bachelor's and the master's, there's no problem completing it in just 2 years.
I think there's no more questions so far.
Okay.
How about the, some people usually ask about the ministry project. Could you give us some details?
Okay. On the ministry project, at the bachelor's level, it's again, there's two choices. You can go on an international missions trip. That's preferably to an international global south, which would be Asia, Latin America, or Africa, or the Middle East, and to one of those countries. Needs to be at least 5 to 7 days in that country. The project, instead of the mission trip, the project would be something that is practical, pragmatic, something that you will develop or use in your own ministry or in your marketplace. So it's something that you will look at your circumstance and you will put it together. There's some parameters around that, and you will submit it for approval. And so we'll either approve it or we may make some recommendations to it, and then you will work on that. But for that project, we ask that you complete all of your core courses first and you're in your electives before you select that, because we want you to be able to take the content from especially the core courses, and to be able to apply it. So if you so that you need to complete at least a year, the first year of completing your core courses, and then your project will come after that. But we want it to be practical. It's not just a theory. We want something that you will actually engage it and actually do it. Something that's a real project.
Yeah, no questions.
Okay. Well, I think with that, what I would like to do is to say again, the next step is that you could go online. We have more information on our website at wagner.university. There's an application there. With your application, we would ask that you would submit a resume along with it. And when I say a resume, many people have a business resume, but we want you to submit both a business resume, what you've done for work, but we also want you to submit a ministry resume. You can combine them, or it can be two separate resumes. So we, just as you would, if you were applying for a job somewhere, you would apply a resume that would show your skills and what you've done. We also want to know, like, the ministry, what you've done as far as ministry. Did you, have you pastored a church, or have you, did you lead, were you a youth minister, or did you lead small groups, or whatever type of ministry there, so we can help evaluate where you would fit in the program. It's not an automatic. If you have a bachelor's, say you have a bachelor's in English literature, that you would automatically go into the masters. We want you to make sure you have that foundation before you go in. And the same thing, just because you have a master's somewhere, unless it's applied in this area, if it deals with ministry on an apostolic level, you wouldn't automatically go into the doctoral level. We've had students that have a lot of ministry experience, but it's not been in this movement, in the river movement, and the things that we would teach. And so we've had some of them take the core courses in the master's level to get them up to speed so they can be successful in the doctoral level. So we would ask you to submit a resume, both a work and a ministry resume of what you've done in ministry, so we can assess that. And so if you can mail that or apply online. Applying online is the best way to do it. It's the quickest, the fastest way to get response to it. And you can pay the application fee right there online also, which is the best way. If you have questions or need more information or want to talk one-on-one, you can email us at office@wagner.university. Our office number is there. We're not always manning the office, so you may get an answering machine. So just leave your contact information and someone will get back to you. Best way to do it is to send an email, and then we can set up an appointment and give you a call and answer any questions that you might have. Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and thank you for your interest in Wagner University. I can guarantee you from being both a student and being a dean and watching our current students that it will excel your ministry, that it will help prepare you for the future. It will ignite you to be both a reformer and a revivalist. And again, what we do at Wagner University is raise up apostolic leaders for this time. Right now, there's just a move, an apostolic move around the world. And so join that wave and let us equip you for that. Thank you, and God bless you.